Hello.
Okay, countdown.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. And for this, it's not going to be a live stream. It's going to air at the live stream time, but this is a special episode. We are pre-recording this. It is all about the new fad methylene blue and this little toxic dye that people are taking. And we have Kelsey Kenny as a special guest on this episode. We've been working on this quite a bit on our own for a while now, for a couple weeks. Actually, I think it's been a month or more now. And we have got plenty of information for you guys. What we're going to be doing, Kelsey's going to go through her stuff first, and then I'm going to go through my stuff after that. And then hopefully you will know not to ever take or use this stuff. It is about as bad as it comes. Long term, it's going to get you. So I'm going to hand it over to Kelsey. Kelsey, the stage is yours.
Okay, thanks for having me on again. Last time we talked about ivermectin and how bad it is for you and kind of the reverse psyop that's happening. And I'm seeing very similar patterns with this this methylene blue stuff. So Dr. Smith and I both felt like it was really important to talk about, and not a lot of people are talking about it and how toxic it is. They're just, lots of people are just saying it's so great and it's, you know, has all these miracle things, and there's PDFs going around, and it's very concerning, and we need to talk about the other side of it too, because again, just like ivermectin, if you just do a cursory Google search on, or you look on PubMed, it's gonna look like the greatest thing ever, until you look deeper and you look at, you know, what it's actually doing. And so we're going to talk about that and kind of the trends that I've seen happening, and it's very similar psyop to ivermectin, and it's also very dangerous. So let's get started. We'll talk about the trends. We'll talk about the history of this methylene blue drug, my experience, because I used it in the lab a lot. It's one of the first things that you stain cells with. And then we're going to talk about something called the P-glycoprotein, or PGP. And it's a detoxification system that your cells have. And we're going to talk about how methylene blue totally interferes with that, and the stuff can accumulate. And then lastly, if we have time, we'll talk about what to do if you've ingested this and you think it's accumulating, and possibly ways to get it out. At least we know how to get it out of wastewater, and kind of similar principles work in your body too, like charcoal and zeolite and things. Okay, so I've heard of this before. I heard it was used as medicine, you know, when I thought I had Lyme disease. You know, this was one of the things that was talked about, making people better and everything like that. And then I started seeing it on Instagram, and there's some really concerning ads, like talking about how it's feels like Adderall, and it's like crack, and it cures autism and Lyme and malaria and this and that. And they even have capsules now too. So if you don't want a blue tongue. Here's one influencer that I came across on Twitter. She talks about MB is like pure crack. And she's putting it in her orange juice too. She does kind of the repeat thing. And she's got 50,000 followers, and I don't know. There's something kind of sussy about her. She's a model, and I don't know what's going on. It doesn't seem very authentic. And then there's this guy who's doing some very concerning things. You know, taking 2 bottles at once. That's that's really dangerous. And they're doing this kind of blue meth thing. They're kind of doing this Breaking Bad tie in and reverse psychology and don't do it. But they want you to do it too. So yeah, let's see if we can open that. No. We'll just go back. All right, so let's take a look at this. What's he doing?
Breaking news. Breaking news. Meth maniac on the loose. Stay inside and lock all doors.
So they're making it all cool and don't try it. And it's just like, it's kind of like they used to do this with smoking too. It's like, make it cool, make it rebellious, and people are gonna want it. So that's like the Gen Z targeting or something. And then people are putting it in methylene blue in their kids' food. Yeah, I guess this person is putting methylene blue in her children's food, so that's really concerning. Yeah, don't do that. And they're doing stunts like this. They're making fun of the fact that it's a fish tank cleaner, and I mean, what a mess. Like when I was working with it for this presentation, it's just it gets everywhere. It's so it's such a strong dye, and it just yeah, I'm still cleaning it up. It stained my countertop. And people are even putting it all over their skin. They're promoting it as a like a youthful topical thing. And for some reason, I don't get this. They're mixing it with tallow. Like, that's kind of gross. So that I've seen a few of these too. This tallow thing, and I guess it's halal, so great. Yeah. And let's just look at some of the products available on Amazon. Okay, yep, another tallow and methylene blue. It's grass-fed. Blue Lean, I saw that on Instagram. That's Dr. Group's product there. So there's a lot of skin products. And then, of course, there's oral stuff, too. You'll see the same stuff with ivermectin, too. There's so much available on Amazon. It's like, I don't know if it cures anything. Is it going to be so easily available on Amazon? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything good about that. All right, next. Here's one. This guy, he's made this scalp treatment with methylene blue. It's got salicylic acid, which is aspirin, baking soda, yeah, I guess that's fine. Vitamin B3, okay. Oh, keep doing that. Okay. Yeah, this product is one example. I saw this on Twitter too. Kind of been going back and forth with this guy. Another repeat dude. You can see the Mexican Coke there. And he's selling this blue BLOO treatment. It's got salicylic acid, which is aspirin, baking soda. That's fine. I use baking soda a lot for cleaning usually, or buffering my niacin. But he's got, what's this? Vitamin B3. Oh, cool. Flush niacin? No, it's niacinamide. And then taurine. I don't know much about taurine. Caffeine and methylene blue. So most of those things are toxic here, and yeah, he's having people put it on their skin, and of course it does absorb through your skin. It's lipophilic, so if you're going to put it topically, lipophilic means fatty loving, and to get past the first layer of your skin, the compounds have to be a little bit fatty. So yes, that if you put it on your skin, it's gonna get in. This other person on, I already went through that. Yeah, and people are putting their, they're bragging about their blue tongues. They're sticking their blue tongues out. It's like some rebellious kind of thing. And there's this Trump tie-in too. Yeah, and it's very popular right now, or they're trying to make it popular. And then let's get into this company, because this company kind of concerns me. Meraki. They make the methylene blue drops and some tallow balm and stuff like that. So let's take a look at what they're all about. Okay, so they've got the 13,500 followers, and people are, they're reposting people bragging about their blue tongues and everything. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah, talking about how it makes you so strong and fit and buff and all that. Yeah. Okay, and they're posting studies. Okay, that's cool, but they're short-term studies, or they're cell studies, or they're only looking at one factor. The kind of bad research that Dr. Smith talks about a lot, that they don't prove anything really, except if people don't know how to read research and to see how research is used to trick people, and they don't know. Yeah, they're calling it a pre-workout. And oh, there's my tweet there. I always say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I like to post this one around. This patient right here, they had I think it was vasoplegic syndrome after heart surgery or something, and they infused her with methylene blue, which is supposed to be a treatment for that. And then when it hit the oxygen, when they took the brain out to do an autopsy on this person, the oxygen turned the methylene blue back into methylene blue. And we'll talk about that later, the little color change trick that it does. Anyways, so I think you get the picture. Let's go back. All right, let's take a look at this product that they're selling, this methylene blue. Apparently, you're supposed to get USP grade, United States Pharmacopoeia, something like that. It's supposed to be super duper pure or something. I don't know. It's just so weird to me that people talk about how pure. Oh, shoot, keep doing that. All right. So let's look at Meraki's flagship product here. Why don't we? This is their methylene blue, and it's got 150 milligrams in a 1 ounce bottle. It's $35, and we're going to talk about how that is a huge ripoff. Yeah, it is. Anyways, this is their site, the front page, and the links on there. They sell like the tallow balm, the drops, and black seed oil. And let's talk about if I wanted to do this. If I wanted to, I don't know, if I went dark or something and wanted to make a bunch of money. Let's talk about how easy it would be to do this. All right, so for staining cells, and I bought this for my microscope not too long ago because I didn't have any, and it's $33 for 100 grams. Okay, so if you do the math, that's going to be only 33 cents a gram. All right, so that one is his product is 150 milligrams, and it's a 5% solution. So that stuff is 0.5% solution. So that stuff is 99.5% water. I mean, first off, that's kind of silly, but yeah. So if I wanted to make like a whole liter of this, I would use 5 grams. So that would be like weight over volume. There. So you put 5 grams in your beaker, and then you'd add up to the line there of to 1,000 milliliters or 1 liter. And then you just basically just fill it up, 30 milliliters, cap it, and you're done. That's all it is. Nothing special. So, 33 cents a gram. There's only 150 milligrams in each bottle. If I wanted to make a whole liter, I'd use 5 grams there. And so what kind of profit could I expect from that? Let's take a look. Okay, so that would be about 5 cents. 5 cents worth of methylene blue per bottle, and the rest is water. Wow, that is a huge profit. And if I made a whole liter, and let's say I don't know, let's give them $1 for marketing and stickers and stuff like that, because they include stickers, and I can make about 33 bottles with this 1 liter of solution. Yeah, so they got their stickers, and they don't even give you free shipping too. So, so it cost me like maybe $15 to make 33 finished bottles of this stuff, and they're selling it for $35. And so 1 liter, you just saw me do it. Took about 10 seconds to make. Maybe 5 minutes, the whole process, and I could make $1,103.85. So that's pretty good. So that's one reason that people would probably be wanting to lie about this stuff, because it's so profitable. And if there's this cult following and this viral marketing campaign, making it seem like it's this precious stuff, people are going to go for it. So I don't know, but I won't be doing that anytime soon. And that's their tallow balm. It's $47. I don't know how much methylene blue is in there. Probably not a whole lot because it's so potent. There might be like, you know, a few milligrams in that whole thing. And then this guy who owns it, this Vance person who's an MMA fighter, I believe. He didn't like my tweets, so he's saying that methylene blue can fix me. Yeah, sorry, I don't think it's going to happen. And then one of our members, who's very active on Twitter, Thor, had Tim Truth. And Tim Truth is great. He's one of the first people that I heard talk about ivermectin toxicity and PGP inhibitors that make ivermectin even more dangerous. And he went on the podcast, and you should definitely watch that. He definitely gets into the science and everything of what's going on. And so, yeah. He's great. And then I guess, you know, Vance got wind of that. Can't have that happen. So there's Vance talking about it. And this is his webpage. He claims that he got concussions and methylene blue made it go away, made his depression go away. Well, you know, Dr. Smith is going to talk about how it's antidepressant and it's literally a drug. So yeah, people are going to feel good on it, just like they did on ivermectin too, because ivermectin is a drug and it affects the brain and it hits opioid receptors and GABA receptors, which is what alcohol also does. All right, let's talk about somebody else. Oh, this guy. Oh my gosh. I have such a problem with Dr. Group here. So he's selling a methylene blue now too.
Methylene blue was actually discovered in the 20th century, and it was used for dyeing fabric, actually. But I can remember a lot of doctors were using methylene blue in their cancer clinics back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But the reason why it's really popping up again now is because it's an electron cycler. It's an extremely powerful mood balancer. So it really helps you out with stress, anxiety, depression. But it also is a very powerful antimicrobial. It works really good for eliminating parasites, especially in the brain, because it crosses the blood-brain barrier. They've used it for malaria also. So think about that. Think about what else did they use for malaria? Well, they used ivermectin. They used hydroxychloroquine. Another really cool thing about methylene blue is it's activated by different light frequencies. So different spectrums of light. So if you can take the methylene blue and it goes inside your body, then you can go lay out in the sunlight and you even get a stronger effect, or you can be in a far infrared, or you can do a red light sauna, or you could do different types of light therapies. And the methylene blue will work and be activated for that as well. So it's really powerful as a mitochondrial stimulator also, and gives you extra energy.
Instead of like, oh, quiet. Okay. And yeah, so again, it's USP. So if you don't want poison with your poison, you're going to want to choose USP for certain. Okay, and it's just the silliest thing. Okay, it's organic glycerin, nano liquid gold. Like, what even is that? Yeah, triple distilled biophotonic water. It's so weird. It's like rat poison with glitter in it. It's so bizarre to be reading this. So yeah, his is double strength. 10 milligrams of methylene blue. per milliliter. And then it says on this is weird. This wasn't on the Amazon link. It says for research and development purposes only. Keep out of reach of children. At least he's warning people that, you know, the toxic effects that you can get, especially with psychiatric medications. All right, so that's yeah, we wouldn't want formaldehyde with it either. All right, and so yeah, so like Dr. Group, so it's one thing to have these like Ray Pete guys and Gen Z dudes, you know, targeting the younger generation, and then you have these supposed to be health leaders like Dr. Group and Dr. Berg, you know, start talking about it. So, you know, and a lot of people really respect Dr. Berg. I don't, but anyways, let's hear him talk about methylene blue.
Today we're going to discuss something called methylene blue. Now, I haven't done a video on this ever, simply because it's not a natural remedy. It's actually a synthetic drug, but it is sold over the counter and it's been around for a very long time, and it has some fascinating properties that I think you need to know about. Now, it was discovered in 1876, if I'm not mistaken, and it was the first fully synthetic drug in medicine. It was used as one of the first antibiotics. It was used as one of the first antipsychotic drugs. In 1891, it was used for malaria. In fact, nowadays, even the emergency room doctors have it ready if someone has either cyanide poisoning or carbon monoxide poisoning. And so it is a compound that creates some very interesting effects. At lower doses, it can act as an antioxidant. I'm talking about the dose of 0.5 milligrams to 4 milligrams per kilogram weight. So, for example, I weigh 185 pounds. Okay. That's
all right. So, yeah, let's look into the history. So, you started talking about the history. Yeah, it was discovered. It was originally a textile dye. Let's take a look at that. This guy named Heinrich Caro, and he was working with dyes. Dyes were, maybe you've heard about this, but it was very expensive to have all these natural dyes. They used to get them out of some rare snail or something, and so everybody that knew how was looking for replacements for that. Dyes that would last a long time, because you know, most natural dyes tend to fade or something. Of course, they're very hard to get. So yeah, this guy synthesized the first indigo dye, and he's the one that did methylene blue. And about 10 years later, this Paul oops, I did it again. Okay, so yeah, methylene blue was invented, yeah, sometime around 1876 or something by this Heinrich Caro guy in Germany, I think it was. Yeah, Germany. And you know, back then they only had natural dyes like berries and maybe coffee, and you know, purple was kind of for the rich. Maybe you've heard of that, because it had to be it had to be taken from this very rare snail that only lived in one place. So yeah, it was very profitable when people started inventing synthetic dyes. So he's the one that invented methylene blue as a textile dye. That's true. And then about 10 years later, this guy named Paul Ehrlich came around, also in Germany, Nobel Prize winner. Again, these Nobel Prize winners, that is not a good thing. It is not a good thing. We have, dynamite and ivermectin and all sorts of toxic things. Oh, prion disease. Jeez. He was really fascinated with this methylene blue stuff. And his laboratory discovered arsphenamine. I think that's how you say it. Salvarsan, the first antibiotic. And that stuff, if you see the arse in there, that's for arsenic. So yeah, there's arsenic in there. And he invented chemotherapy basically. So yeah, the Henrik Caro guy may have invented the synthesis for this dye, but Ehrlich, he's like, what can we do with this, right? And I don't know, I can't find any links, but there's a guy named, I think there's another Peter Ehrlich or something like that wrote a book in the 70s called The Population Bomb. It was a Malthusian. Well, I mean, it was, if you don't know what that is, it means they're for population control and eugenics and stuff like that. And they're always warning if people breed too much. So I just thought it was interesting. There always seems to be these kind of things run in the family. Okay, let's see if it says anything about, if it says methylene blue. Okay, yeah, he's really into staining. Robert, how do you say that? Coke? Yeah. Yeah, and he invented started doing a DTaP vaccine all the way back then, an anti-serum for diphtheria and tetanus. Oh yeah, here's methylene blue. Okay, so he admitted in this himself, is that it stains living cells. You're made out of living cells, and nerve cells especially. It has the penchant for nerve cells, and where they're the most, well, the brain, of course, and the spinal cord, and also the heart. So when they do autopsies on people that have taken methylene blue, like you saw with that blue brain, as soon as the surgeon opens the body and takes the organ out, it will turn blue. And he had this so he wanted to, I guess, find the cure for malaria. I don't really believe that. And at the time, people were taking cinchona bark or quinine. That was the precursor to hydroxychloroquine, which is another toxic drug. It's so weird how these old substances keep coming back, and they all claim to be like trying to cure neglected tropical diseases and all that. And Ehrlich discovered the blood-brain barrier. Interesting. And they've been trying to cross it ever since. What do you know that? This guy did a lot. Yeah, I have a whole book on them. He also said that a compound could selectively target a disease-causing organism and be a magic bullet. So wonder drug, magic bullet. And really, there's no such thing. That was something I made a huge mistake in my health many times, trying to look for that, one thing that would fix me. And a lot of times they were toxins. So this is a really bad idea. And yeah, he's known as the father of chemotherapy. So this is your guy that you claim you're sticking it to big pharma when you take methylene blue. No, you're not. This is about as pharma Rockefeller kind of, allopathic as it gets, really. So it's kind of goofy. And then, so what are they doing with it today too? What this company? So BASF, yeah, somebody tried to say it's really good because of this this story, this fairy tale, right? It reminded me again with ivermectin that it came from a golf course and it came from a natural bacteria. Okay, somebody sent me this one time on Twitter. I think it was. It's straight from the company, Henrik Caro's company itself. It's still around, apparently. So let's read that. Excuse me. So this is what gets all the rumors started about, curing Alzheimer's and stuff. This is written like first grade stuff. It's so weird. Okay. So methylene blue revealed its medical talent in 1886 when the budding doctor Paul Ehrlich noticed a curious phenomenon during his experiments. Methylene blue, a dye recently synthesized by BASF, turned live neurons blue and had the same effect on Plasmodium, the parasite that caused malaria in human blood. But since germ theory has a lot of issues, I must lead terrain. What was it curing, or was it just adding more toxicity to the system? So did he cure it? I don't think so. But he still gets a Nobel Prize and a pat on the back. Now we have this article is written in 2015. We have Dr. Olaf Müller looking into the blue dye. He found that methylene blue is superior to all known anti-malarial agents in important properties. Well, that's very vague, isn't it? So why should I listen to this? This is coming from Henrik Caro's company, BASF. This is a pharmaceutical company. They're the ones telling the story about, this being good for Alzheimer's. And this guy over here, he's selling. They're totally in the agenda, aren't they? He's selling an Alzheimer's drug called Rember. So yeah. So this is definitely for profit, and there's some side benefits too, because as people get sicker with their toxic drugs, they'll create more customers who will spend more money on their toxic drugs. Okay, so we talked about the blue brains and blue hearts earlier. So let's watch that happen in a flask. And so when people say it doesn't accumulate, and I'm not turning blue, that doesn't matter. That doesn't prove anything. That doesn't prove that it doesn't accumulate. So and when they say it's an antioxidant, actually it's not. So when it goes into your body, it's actually an oxidant, and your body has to use its own endogenous, or the ones you make, antioxidants to counteract that. So yeah, and then it can be an antioxidant. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Let's take a look at the blue bottle experiment so you can see the cool change that it does. But that doesn't mean you should take it.
We need glucose, sodium hydroxide, and a methylene blue diester solution. Please consider the guidelines concerning.
Okay, so she's putting it in a strong place, and glucose with the sugar.
Then we add
And
1
just add a little
milliliter
bit
of that MB
of
solution
the
with a lead
methylene
pipette.
blue. And what the sugar does is it acts like an antioxidant towards the methylene blue, and it becomes,
We can watch the effect of decolorization
it becomes what's called
immediately because glucose.
leukomethylene blue. And leuko means white, like leukemia, cancer of the white blood cells. Leukoplast, leukoplakia, white, white plaque in the mouth. So what happens is when it's exposed to oxygen, because it's being shaken up and there's oxygen in the bottle, there is it turns it back into blue, and then the sugar counteracts that, and as the oxygen kind of dissipates, it turns back into colorless methylene blue. So your brain might not be blue now, but it's still got methylene blue in it. And that's no good. And it'll just keep going back and forth. And what happens when you run out of endogenous antioxidants? Well, that is no bueno. That is not going to be very healthy for you. All right, so yeah, so I also did this test, and it does work. It does work very well. And it's interesting too that sunlight, you put it in sunlight and it turns back into leukomethylene blue as well. It creates a superoxide anion, so which is pretty destructive. And they say, oh, that's such a good thing because it kills pathogens and cancer cells. Yeah, but like Dr. Smith always stresses, and like I always tell people, is that if it kills cancer cells, cancer is your cells. Yeah, so that's not good. Don't take methylene blue and go out in the sun, especially. That's even worse, and it'll keep going back and forth. All right. Yeah, and when you first learn to use a microscope, I remember using this, and you like stick a swab in your cheek and you put it on a slide, and then you put a little methylene blue in there. And as you can see, it goes right for the nucleus of the cell. So that's concerning. And yeah, like they always say it's mitochondrial enhancers, but they never really explain it. They don't bother to explain it. But yeah, it can get stuck in there because being lipophilic, it likes water and it likes fat too. So it'll go for the fatty layer, because essentially all cells and mitochondria are covered in a fatty layer, and the fatty things tend to accumulate like vitamin D and A and E and all that. So we already know that. Fat soluble toxins, right? All right, so let's talk about a little bit more about accumulation. Let's talk about P-glycoprotein. Okay, so P-glycoprotein is a protein that it kind of works like a wind turbine or something like that. And ATP, or the energy of the cell, will bind into this, and it will push toxins out of the cell back into extracellular matrix, or just, the outside environment of the cell, basically. And this is an extremely important cellular process. If you can't detoxify it, then get it out of there. It's better out of the cell than in the cell, for sure. Yeah, and it has a wide range of toxins that it can chuck out. It's in your gut. It's in your intestine, and it's in your liver to put it back into the bile, like we always talk about, right? So your PGP is pumping, accumulated drugs back in your bile, for elimination, and then hopefully your intestinal PGP is also working too. Yeah, this is one of the main reasons why, you don't get high on a drug forever, or, take some heroin. It doesn't last forever, does it? Or anything else. And then we're going to talk about how there are PGP inhibitors. So methylene blue is definitely one of those. So if you take any methylene blue with any toxin, you're going to it's going to make it all that much more toxic, because your cell isn't going to be able to get that toxin out. So, yeah. There's also all right. So, yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if I'm going to get into the PGP and the other stuff today, but yeah, I'll re-record this and add some more of the PGP and the possible things you can do. First of all, you want to avoid PGP inhibitors, of course, that make everything more toxic that you're taking, or almost everything. P-glycoprotein doesn't work on every single toxin or drug, but it does a lot. And then how, possibly zeolite or charcoal could help get this out of the body faster and bind it when it does get into the bile. If your body's PGP is starting to come back online again, you'll want to grab onto it, just like they do with wastewater and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I did some tests with my zeolite, and it does bind. It does bind to the methylene blue, and there's some research that I'll post where you can read more about that. And charcoal does too, as well, because it's positively charged, and zeolite and charcoal, they tend to bind positively charged things like methylene blue, and a lot of toxins are positively charged.
Okay, so what I wanted to go over first was about one of the things that, because we have some anecdotes from people on Twitter about their negative experiences with methylene blue. And before I went into that, before I go into all the enzymes that enzyme pathways, detox pathways that methylene blue inhibits, this thing shuts down your detox pathways more than anything I have ever seen. But first, I wanted to go over one thing that happens. So remember that methylene blue is considered a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, an MAOI, which is a type of depressant that basically stops your body from breaking down the monoamines. So we'll get into all that stuff later, but the monoamines, serotonin, adrenaline or epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, that kind of stuff, it stops your body from breaking those down. So you're going to build those up. That's how it works. So there is a known withdrawal phenomenon with monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Let me go over this a little bit. The author reviews the literature reporting the untoward effects of withdrawing monoamine oxidase inhibitors. The withdrawal of these agents, so methylene blue is an MAO, an MAOI. If you stop taking it, you may get a lot worse. It can result in severe anxiety, agitation, pressured speech, sleeplessness or drowsiness, hallucinations, delirium, and paranoid psychosis. MAOI withdrawal phenomena resemble the symptoms produced by the discontinuation of chronically administered psychostimulants. Let me just remind you, Kelsey kind of mentioned this. One person on Twitter mentioned the words, she compared methylene blue to pure crack. And there was an ad on Twitter on Instagram, trying to sell methylene blue, saying it feels like Adderall. Does that sound like a psychostimulant to you? It sure does to me. So there's going to be withdrawal symptoms. I'm going to show you that. Now, I want to show you, for those of you who are real familiar with toxic bile theory and aldehyde dehydrogenase and its connection to bile, Joe, we're going to go over to the PDFs real quick, if that share is still working. Let me see. We got it now. Okay, so Kelsey actually caught this in the research and brought it to my attention. They added methylene blue to the cells. When experiments were carried out with intact erythrocytes, red blood cells, the ALDH activity obtained after subsequent washing of the cells treated with methylene blue was, in fact, higher than the control value. So let me explain this a little bit. ALDH is inhibited strongly by methylene blue. So methylene blue inhibits ALDH. When they put it on the cells, it inhibited their ALDH. Now, when they washed the cells and they took away the methylene blue, the ALDH rebounded to higher levels than it was before. I just showed you how MAOIs have withdrawal symptoms, which means the original symptoms come back plus more. Those of you familiar with toxic bile theory understand that when you start dumping more bile, which would be a higher ALDH, all your old symptoms can come back plus more. So let's go and see if there's anyone to corroborate this. Joe, let's go to the other tab now. So this was someone on my Twitter. I had commented about methylene blue, and this person said, I was the most beautiful while consuming it, but surely it had its price. So what's she going to say later? Notice I said the price will be paid for hiding the toxins deeper in the system. So, sorry. Here we are. Here we're on the right tab. Got it. So I mentioned about methylene blue. LGIP said I was the most beautiful while consuming it, but surely it had its price. Listen to this. The second I stopped it, the weight and all former problems returned, plus massive hair shedding. However, this can correlate with quite a big weight loss, so maybe I got too much vitamin A released to my system as well causes hair loss. No, it's the withdrawal of the methylene blue. As I mentioned here, your anecdote shows exactly what I'll demonstrate methylene blue does, which is slow the production of bile. When you stop taking it, you unleashed everything that you had been backlogging or storing. And here's what she says. Oh boy, it was a nightmare and still is. I need to mention that prior to this anecdote, I've consumed desiccated beef liver pills for maybe 6 months to stop my supposed vitamin D and A deficiency. Just imagine what I've went through. Yes. So, last thing that she mentions about methylene blue here, I've lost almost half my beautiful hair after quitting the methylene blue. This tells a lot. I'm not a very healthy person. At the time when I was on methylene blue, I was trying to lose some weight and stick to methylene blue as it gave me sufficient energy to exercise twice a day. Stimulant. I felt amazing, and that she actually didn't post again on that. Now, this is her again. This is her commenting where she asked me my thoughts on methylene blue. And this was a previous comment. She said, interesting, I got amazing results in sports and overall energy with it, but shortly after had a massive hair fallout like never before. So same thing. This is the withdrawal of methylene blue. So now we had some other comments on here. Let me go to these. Because if those of you who have noticed methylene blue in the social media space and all this, the people promoting this are acting like there has never been a negative side effect from low dose. They're just like, well, if you do low doses, it's no problem. They're wrong. So here we have this gentleman, Crispy, saying, I use methylene blue, recommended from Mark Sloan's book, Compass Labs, all the psychotic symptoms followed within a week. Much regret, hospital, etc. Psychotic symptoms. This is a side effect of MAOIs, folks. From a book. Let's see. Kelsey and I both commented we were sorry it happened. Here's what else happened. Muscle ache and twitching, hair loss, agitation, tachycardia, that's fast heart rate, PACs, premature atrial contractions, weight gain, bucket of shit ensued. The lab provided a COA for the batch number, but who knows if it's real. And massive dry eyes at bedtime. Feels like my left eyelid sticks to the ball. REM sleep rips it open. Doesn't that sound like fun, folks? Oh, it was clean methylene blue, though. It probably was. And they're going to sell you on putting like triple distilled ionized water in it. They're going to sell you on all these BS things about it. They're just selling you poison. So now let's go to this. Anarchrist here commented. He got the certain methylene blue sold by a mixed martial arts fighter. You may know of this person. I didn't get any benefits, but still bought a second bottle anyway, thinking it might take time to build in my system. Oh, it's building in your system, all right. Then one day it gave me a headache that persisted for days, and I just stopped taking it. Stopped putting the blue dye tallow cream on my face too. Cynical Mitochondria here says, I had massive migraines too. Stopped for the very same reason. And the wrapping it all up. Now that it's all over, we can laugh about the time we drank blue dye because a fit 20-something social media influencer on Twitter told us it was a special health elixir. Let's keep going. One more. So Pamela here says she was talking to Tim Truth, who gave me some information that I used in this presentation. She said, Tim, I know 2 biohackers who ended up hospitalized after taking and selling this poison. She's going to comment more here. One of the girls is a Broadway dancer who left the business because of the shots. Okay, so what she's saying is she wouldn't get the shot. So she left her job on Broadway. Not that she got the shot, okay? Then started a Biohacker Babes podcast after getting some sort of functional training, sold this stuff heavily, ended up in the hospital really sick. A lot of the truth about cancer folks sell it. Crazy stuff. And yeah. So we're talking hospitalizations, folks. We're talking psychotic episodes. One of the things that is noted in MAOI withdrawal symptoms is psychosis. The longer you take this stuff, the worse the withdrawals are going to be. So the more you deny that what we're going to show you here is actually happening to you, and you may not feel it yet. You may be on the honeymoon. But when the honeymoon ends, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be in a bad way, and quitting is going to put you in an even worse way. It's going to be damned if you do, damned if you don't. So yeah, it's going to get ugly. Now, I'm just going to take a little break here. Kelsey, are you ready to go? Or do you want me to go again?
No, why don't you keep why don't you keep going? I'll just put in my parts. I'm just not feeling so good.
Okay. If you need to go rest, that's cool. I can do my stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just listen in. I just gotta lie down for a second.
Okay.
I'm still listening.
Okay. So now here I wanted to go into some of the some of the things that are known about methylene blue, and some very obvious things that are out there showing that this stuff is not safe. So this is from poisoncontrol.org, the National Capital Poison Center. Are methylene blue infusions safe? Now, everybody's going to say, well, that's IV, that's much higher dose. This stuff accumulates, just like vitamin A, just like arsenic. It accumulates in your system. Once you've accumulated enough, you're going to have problems. Methylene blue is a chemical that was initially manufactured in 1876 as a textile dye. It was later studied as a medicinal therapy and was the first synthetic or man-made medical treatment used in humans. The first synthetic drug. And y'all are out there wanting to worship the pharma cartel. First product. Initially used as an antiseptic, so it kills things. Okay. Methylene blue is also a photosensitizer, which means you will get more skin damage from the sun or any other UV lights that you're using. It's accumulating in your skin, just like carotenoids, plant vitamin A does. There is no standard recommended human dosing for the use of methylene blue in conditions other than methemoglobinemia, and the potential health benefits of methylene blue for these other conditions have not been widely studied or described in medical literature. Okay, so this is the medical use, folks. This is like where they're actually giving it for conditions, and they're saying these other conditions haven't been widely studied or described. The people out there telling you that there's a ton of research on methylene blue are lying. I'm going to show you a bunch of papers where they say there's not enough research, especially toxicology research on methylene blue. As with all drugs, there are undesirable side effects associated with the use of methylene blue. Methylene blue administration can cause blue discoloration of the urine and skin, body's trying to get rid of it, and can also cause dizziness, nausea, and headache. Those are all the same symptoms that vitamin A causes generally. In high doses, methylene blue can actually cause methemoglobinemia. This is duration paradox. I'm going to go over this later. So they use methylene blue to treat methemoglobinemia, but too much of it can cause methemoglobinemia. This means it's damaging your liver. As they say here, the exact condition it is intended to treat. Methylene blue can also have adverse reactions with several commonly used medications, including selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Those are the common antidepressants like Prozac. Serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, SNRIs. Those are other common antidepressants, and monoamine oxidase inhibitors, MAOIs, which is what we just talked about. In 2017, the FDA issued a warning about the dangers of using methylene blue in patients who take these classes of medications. I think they have to wait at least 8 days after stopping those medications to use methylene blue. Since methylene blue can be harmful to a developing fetus, causes birth defects, what other vitamin do we know causes that? The drug should not be administered to pregnant women. Use of the drug should also be avoided by breastfeeding women. Because of methylene's blue potentially toxic side effects, some of which can be life-threatening, people should only use methylene blue after consultation with a physician who has familiarity with the drug and its side effects. The routine use of intravenous methylene blue should be avoided as the risks of the drug will likely outweigh any potential benefits. But you're going to take it in a dropper at home. Okay. So now, let's go to this one. Methylene blue interacts with so many detox pathways that it is going to interact with all sorts of medications. Okay. Here's the serotonin syndrome warning again. But I wanted to go down. So we're just going to run through the symptoms here. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see it as we go. So these are the, just look, this is long list of symptoms. Overdose. We got another long list of symptoms. Other side effects, common side effects: change in taste, skin color, feeling hot or cold, increased sweating, loss of taste, muscle or joint pain, pain at the infusion site. Let's keep going. This applies to methylene blue oral tablets, oral solutions. Common symptoms: 1 to 10% of people, chest pain, chest discomfort, pre-syncope, syncope, that's fainting. Another one, methemoglobinemia as a side effect. Ecchymosis is bruising. Immunologic, common influenza-like illness. Those of you who understand toxic bile theory understand that an influenza-like illness would mean a toxic bile dump into your bloodstream. It's going backwards. You're dumping toxicity into your system. I don't have time to explain toxic bile theory today, but that's episode 71 of my live streams. Musculoskeletal pain. Oh, 10% or more can get pain. Musculoskeletal pain, back pain, muscle spasms, chills, arthralgia. That's joint pains. We already heard about headaches. We heard about hospitalizations, decreased appetite, limb discomfort, anxiety. Wait, so you guys should all know this. Whatever a drug is supposed to treat, like an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety med, it will always cause the same problem in a certain number of people. This is called the duration paradox, where we give some toxin short term and they may see benefits in cell studies or in low doses short term, and then long term it turns bad. Genitourinary, we got blue-green pee. How bad do you think your body wants to get rid of this stuff? Elevated liver enzymes. Hey, it's hurting your liver. Dyspnea, shortness of breath. Feeling hot or fever, that's the bile dump. Feeling cold, discomfort, catheter site pain. Nervous system, dysgeusia, dizziness, headache, paresthesia, numbness. Headache, common to vitamin A toxicity. Oral numbness, postural dizziness, blue skin. Where does your body put carotenoids? Hyperhidrosis, sweating, pallor, they're turning white, contact dermatitis, itching, another liver symptom right there, cold sweat, redness of the skin, nausea, dumping bile the wrong way, vomiting, dumping bile the wrong way, abdominal pain, diarrhea, too much bile in the guts, oral hypoesthesia, they're not feeling as well in their mouth, oral discomfort. So just their poop turns green. Blue-colored saliva. Do you understand how much their body is trying to get rid of this poison? Does this help you understand? Your body's pushing it out through the skin, through the pee, through the saliva, through the poop. Your body doesn't want to have anything to do with this. So let's keep going. Methylene blue. Let's find this. Where is it? What does it do to newborns? Administering methylene blue to newborns has led to hyperbilirubinemia, high bile in the blood. Sorry, let me go back and show this since I didn't share the tab. There it is, methylene blue, stat pearls. We're coming down here to this. This is liver damage, respiratory depression, they're not breathing well, pulmonary edema, swelling of the lungs, phototoxicity, their skin is now extra sensitive to light, and hemolytic anemia, it's actually destroying the red blood cells. This is not good. Oh, this is the fun part. So for those of you who mess yourself up, or maybe you're thinking about not messing yourself up now, the research concludes that there has been no antidote for treating methylene blue toxicity to be found to exist. Methylene blue may become potentially fatal when used in combination with medications that include or increase serotonin. That is because of the monoamine oxidase inhibiting properties. It's not just that. There is so much that it inhibits. So much. That's all for that one. Okay. Now we're on to drug interactions. Look at how many drugs are major Oops, wait. Didn't mean to click that. Major interactions. 128 major drug interactions. 128 major drug interactions and 65 moderate drug interactions. Gosh, why would it have so many drug interactions? Because it shuts down your detox. That's what it does. So now, Joe, we're going to go to the PDF now. Okay. So I'm going to run through here. These prescribing information PDFs gave a lot of info. So it's going to save me some time going through the papers with you. So you can just assume that if it's in these documents, it's in the research. Okay? But this is an easy way for me to show you all of it together. So we're talking about methylene blue. You're not supposed to use it in patients with G6PD. Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. You're not supposed to use it in them, huh? Because it can cause their red blood cells to basically burst and explode. Do you know if you're G6PD deficient? You've probably never been tested. So what if they give this to you in the hospital and they haven't tested you? Oh, they might kill you. Oops. So it's so safe. When you start looking at methylene blue, the research on it, it's actually not very good at even the jobs that it's supposed to do. It's a desperation drug. So what happens? What are the side effects with hyperbilirubinemia? That's liver damage. Death is a side effect of it. Liver enzymes. Yes, it is damaging your liver. So, don't use it with antidepressants. They're just warning you here. Don't take it with all these meds. You'll get messed up. And there are people out there doing interesting diet approaches where they're trying to push these things, these approaches, and they're probably going to cause themselves problems. So, methylene blue may cause fetal harm when administered to a pregnant woman. Intraamniotic injection of pregnant women with a methylene blue class product during the second trimester was associated with neonatal intestinal atresia. Their intestines are decaying, basically, or they're not forming right. I'd have to check on that. And fetal death. Methylene blue produced adverse developmental outcomes in rats and rabbits when administered orally during organogenesis. So when you're making your organs, when the fetus is making its organs, at doses at least 32 and 16 times respectively the clinical dose of 1 milligrams per kilogram. This stuff accumulates. So the acute toxicity is applicable to the chronic toxicity dose. All you have to do is accumulate enough. Okay. Again, it's just damaging newborns. This was a nice one. This is where we start to get real toxic. It was administered orally to pregnant rats during the period of organ formation. Maternal and embryo-fetal toxicities were observed at all doses of methylene blue and were most evident at 200 and 350 milligram per kilogram per day. Maternal toxicity consisted of increased spleen weight. That's your immune system organ right there. Embryo-fetal toxicity included reduced fetal weight, post-implantation loss, edema, swelling, and malformations, including enlarged lateral ventricles. Again, embryo-fetal toxicities. Maternal death happened at a dose of 100 milligrams per kilogram. Embryo-fetal toxicities included spontaneous abortion, miscarriage at all dose levels, and a malformation umbilical hernia at the 100 and 150 milligram kilogram per day doses. Oh, there's so much research on methylene blue. No, there's not. There is no information regarding the presence of methylene blue in human milk, the effects on the breastfed infant, or the effects on milk production. You gonna volunteer your kid for this? I'm not. Because of the potential for serious adverse reactions, including genotoxicity, damaging your DNA, discontinue breastfeeding during for up to 8 days after treatment with Prove Blue. That's how long it really stays active in your system. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see if there's anything else on this one. This is we're gonna hit on this again. Cytochrome P450. These are detox enzymes. Okay, we're just gonna hit on these real quick. So, methylene blue inhibits cytochrome P450 enzymes 1A2, 2B6, 2C8, 2C9, 2C19, 2D6, and 3A4 and 3A5 in vitro. Possible time-dependent inhibition of cytochrome 2C9, 2D6, and 3A45 using testosterone as a substrate was also observed in vitro. Cytochrome P450s are part of what help makes vitamin A, the retinoic acids, less toxic. Cytochrome P450 3A4 processes so many things. You have no idea. If you've never heard of 3A4, you have no idea of how many drugs go through that pathway. Tons of them. It's really bad to inhibit cytochrome 3A4. Okay? Let's keep going. We're just hitting on the greatest hits here of methylene blue inhibitors. Excuse me. Methylene blue inhibits UGT1A9 and UGT1A4 in vitro. Methylene blue is both a substrate for and an inhibitor of PGP. I'm going to let Kelsey explain more on that. Methylene blue inhibits OCT2, MATE1, and MATE2K in vitro. The OCT2 MATE pathway for renal transport. Listen to this. This pathway for kidney transport is reported to play a significant role in the elimination of several substances, including metformin, cimetidine, acyclovir, and creatinine. So it's inhibiting this pathway, OCT2 MATE. That pathway plays a role in eliminating creatinine. Do you know what happens when you have elevated creatinine in your blood? The doctors assume you have a kidney problem. Carcinogenesis studies. 2-year carcinogenicity study. Rats got methylene blue at these doses. Methylene blue caused pancreatic islet adenomas or carcinomas in male rats. Cancer. Okay. Genotoxic in the gene mutation assays. So it's damaging DNA. In an in vitro sister chromatid exchange test and an in vitro chromosomal aberration test in Chinese hamster ovary cells. Fertility studies with methylene blue have not been conducted. I'm saying we're going to show you some fertility stuff. You should already know it causes birth defects. They tell you don't breastfeed while you're on it for up to 8 days after you stop taking it. Like, it's bad. In vitro, methylene blue reduced motility of human sperm in a concentration dependent manner. Guys, it's attacking your testes and your sperm. I'm going to show you long ongoing damage to the testicles in another paper. Okay, I think, was that it on this one? That's it on that one. Let's go to this one. We got another one here. This is another paper about the drug information. So when they did in vitro incubation with human liver cells, resulted in only 33% metabolism of methylene blue. And then they talk about the cytochromes again. More cytochromes. Let's keep going. You don't want to inhibit your liver's detox. Oh, wait. This was important. The terminal half-life of methylene blue is relatively long, as in 24 hours. That means whatever you put in your blood, whatever you put in your system, the terminal half-life means that's not how half of the original drug is gone. This is different. This is half of the concentration in your blood. So if your max concentration stabilized at this much, it means that it came down to half in 24 hours. So the actual concentration only reduced by half. This is a lot longer half-life than what you normally think of as a half-life, because a normal half-life is half of the original amount is gone. This is half of the concentration in the blood, which suggests that methylene blue may affect the elimination of drugs that are cytochrome P450 enzyme substrates. The R value for each cytochrome P450 enzyme inhibition based on the unbound fraction is greater than the threshold of 1.02. That means it's inhibiting. It shows the time needed based on plasma concentration to reach an R value of less than 1.1 for each of the enzymes that are inhibited by methylene blue. 3A4, the most important one. It's high. I'm just going to tell you that. You don't want that inhibited for that long. Okay, again, we've got MB is metabolized in the liver cells. Incubation with recombinant cytochrome P450 enzymes resulted in 91% metabolism of methylene blue with 1A2, 75% with 2D6, and 58% metabolism with 2C19. It inhibited these at the same time. So they're saying these are the things that metabolize it, but it's inhibiting them at the same time. That's not good. That's like when we talk here about malondialdehyde inhibiting aldehyde dehydrogenase. The very thing that detoxes it is getting inhibited by it. Does that sound like a good thing? It would be like trying to drive your car and pushing the brake harder as you push the gas harder. It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to work. It's going to break down the system. So, and here's again the PGP inhibitor. We got the PGP inhibitor again. So again, these are all known. And the only excuse that the people selling you this poison in the little dropper bottles give is that it's too low a dose to cause that problem. But it is still accumulating in your system. I think it's funny how many how much blacking out of these documents there are, right? Anyway, I think we're all done with this one. Now we're going to go to the next one. Yep, nothing else. Here. Let's go. This is from the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Hey, funny thing. They're giving methylene blue in combination with chemotherapy now. They're researching it. They're going to give methylene blue in combo with chemo. Hey, they already give retinoic acid, vitamin A, as chemo, and they often combine retinoic acid with arsenic. Hey, the guy who discovered methylene blue, you know what he did before he came up with methylene blue as a dye in a medical treatment? He was giving people arsenic. What a weird coincidence. It's so weird. These guys just love to play with the same poisons all the time. So you could be allergic to it. You're not allergic to it. You never had it before. It's causing, if you haven't seen my anaphylaxis show here on the live stream, you should go watch that, because anaphylaxis is a massive leaking of bile into the system. Like you're actually blowing a hole in the bile system, and you're leaking so much bile into the system that you're creating a life or death septic type of situation. Okay. What do you got to tell your doctor if you're allergic to this drug, any part of this drug, or any other drugs, foods, or substances? So other allergies could cause you to have a problem with methylene blue. Must stick its little nose into all sorts of other things. If you have a G6PD, if you're pregnant or may be pregnant, the drug may cause harm to an unborn baby. If you're breastfeeding, again, all these things they're warning you about. You may get sunburned more easily. Avoid sun lamps, and tanning beds. Use sunscreen and wear clothing and eyewear that protects you from the sun. Well, how about if you get rid of your vitamin A in your system and stop eating so many PUFAs, and then you'll stop burning in the sun and don't take the toxic blue dye, and then you won't burn really anymore. That's how this works. So things that photosensitize you are accumulating in your skin. That's just the way that is, I think. Oh, you could also get yellow skin or eyes. Does anybody know what that means? That's the hyperbilirubinemia. That's jaundice. That's liver damage. Oh, you could get seizures from it. That's nice. Pleasant. So then that's all on that one. And we got one more here. Oh, this is the MSDS. So this is where they warn you about stuff. This is where they tell you how toxic something is, right? So here we got methylene blue. What do they tell guys to do if there's a spill of methylene blue? What do they tell people to do? First of all, I want to make sure this MSDS is from Merck. The methylene blue MSDS is from Merck. Just a fun thing. They own Millipore Sigma. So acute toxicity, oral. So it's orally toxic. Interesting. Let's take it orally. Harmful if swallowed. Wash skin thoroughly after handling. Oh, but no, rub tallow with methylene blue on your face. That'll be great. Do not eat, drink, or smoke when using this product. If swallowed, call a poison center or doctor if you feel unwell. Rinse your mouth. Dispose of contents / container to an approved waste disposal plant. Wow, sounds so innocent, doesn't it? If you get it on your skin in case of skin contact, take off immediately all contaminated clothing. Rinse skin with water or shower. In case of eye contact, rinse out with plenty of water. Remove your contact lenses. If you swallow it, immediately make victim drink water, 2 glasses at most. Consult a physician. Do not let product enter drains. Oh, just wait until you see the wastewater stuff. Yeah. Where they talk about it's an environmental like carcinogen in wastewater. Yeah. Or in spilling in the ocean or any of that stuff. It's so good for you. It should just be good for you. That's sarcasm. So again, change contaminated clothing. Preventative skin protection recommended. Wash hands after working with substance. Here we go. Absorption into the body leads to the formation of methemoglobin. Wait, but that's what it treats, supposedly, because it uncouples your mitochondria. Anybody who says uncoupling your mitochondria is a good thing, you should run away from. If God made it so that your mitochondria were coupled and you're going to go uncoupling it, you're making a big mistake. I'm sorry. You are not better than the grand designer, okay? So it leads to the formation of methemoglobin, which in sufficient concentration causes cyanosis. Onset may be delayed for 2 to 4 hours or longer. Vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, dizziness, headache. To the best of our knowledge, the chemical, physical, and toxicological properties have not been thoroughly investigated. Let me read that again. To the best of our knowledge, the chemical, physical, and toxicological properties have not been thoroughly investigated. Oh, but the social media influencers say it's good for you. Stomach irregularities based on human evidence. Oh, bioaccumulative potential, no data available. Well, we're going to show you that there's data in cells that shows that insoluble solids from methylene blue accumulate in your cells. So that is all of that. Now let's go here. Okay, ready? Here we go. So now I wanted to go into some other indicators of toxicity other than just the obvious ones that we went over. We're going to go a little deeper now. Central nervous system toxicity involving methylene blue, the exemplar for understanding and predicting drug interactions that precipitate or come before serotonin toxicity. But there's so much research. Methylene blue has only recently been noted to cause severe central nervous system toxicity. Brain, spine, CNS. I think that's all on this one. So I'm just saying no recently, like, okay, so what's the year? 2011. Only recently. Let's go to the next one. Adverse effects of methylene blue on the central nervous system. Oh, wait. Let's just remind everybody. What is the place that methylene blue accumulates the most in? The nerves. They use it specifically to stain the nerves and the brain. So we have these papers saying adverse effects of methylene blue on the central nervous system. Where do you think it's accumulating, folks? Bolus injections of methylene blue initiated widespread neuronal apoptosis, cell death. Electrophysiologic recordings in hippocampal slices, that's part of your brain, revealed a rapid suppression of evoked excitatory field potentials by methylene blue. And this was associated with a dose-dependent effect of this drug on cell death. So the more they gave, the more cells died. The more you accumulate, the more your cells will die too. Dose-response experiments in single-cell neuronal cultures revealed that a 2-hour-long exposure to methylene blue at non-cell death-inducing concentrations could still induce significant retraction of dendritic arbor. So like the nerves put out the dendrites, and it's retracting them. So the nervous system is getting sucked back. That's not good. That's not good at all. Let me see what else. Do I got anything else in this? Nope. Okay. Now, methylene blue, a controversial diagnostic acid and medication with a question mark. 2022. Just listen to this. Although the use of methylene blue is historically justified, and it ought to be safe, what kind of wording is this? Because it originated as a diagnostic material, the basic toxicological characteristics of this substance are unknown. Let me repeat that part. The basic toxicological characteristics of this substance are unknown. Although the use of MB is historically justified, just because you've been doing something for a long time doesn't mean it's good or okay. Okay? Eating liver is not good for you. I don't care how long people have been doing it. It's not good for you. I've already shown that in my Twitter thread. And it ought to be safe. What is that? What? They don't know the toxicology and they're saying it ought to be safe, but then they're also adding because it originated as a diagnostic material. Well, just wait until I get into how toxic dyes are known to be, especially fluorescent dyes, and methylene blue is a fluorescent dye. And they basically know that fluorescent dyes are toxic all the time. despite reports of severe adverse effects of methylene blue, which could significantly exceed any possible benefits evaluated for the given indication. But it ought to be safe. Therefore, the clinical use of methylene blue currently represents a controversial problem given the heterogeneity of available data and the lack of preclinical data. Lacking data again. This is in conflict with standards of safe use of such substances in human medicinal practice. The toxic effects of the application of methylene blue are dose-dependent and include serious symptoms such as hemolysis, red blood cells blowing apart, methemoglobinemia, this is a liver problem, nausea, bile in your stomach, vomiting, bile in your stomach, chest pain, bile everywhere, dyspnea, shortness of breath, and hypertension. Some countries, like apparently not the US, regard methylene blue as harmful because of the resulting skin irritation and triggering of an adverse inflammatory response. Methylene blue induced serotoninergic, that's a fun word, toxicity clinically manifests as neuromuscular hyperactivity, psychostimulant, withdrawals. It's going to be bad. Don't do it. So let's move on to the next part. Yeah, that's the one we're already on. There we go. Okay. So let's go on to this next part. So we're going under methylene blue, current knowledge, fluorescent properties, and its future use. So now we're going into the fluorescent dye part of it. Okay. Methylene blue is a fluorescent dye. So I think this is all I go over in this one. Just to define it, methylene blue is a fluorescent dye discovered in 1876. Okay. So we're just establishing that here. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I think I posted this one on Twitter. Modulating cellular cytotoxicity. So cellular cell toxicity and phototoxicity. That's the toxicity of something by light of fluorescent organic salts through counter-ion pairing. So let's go through this. However, current fluorescent dyes are limited by low brightness, high cytotoxicity, toxicity of the cells, poor tissue penetration, and unwanted side effects. So we already established methylene blue is a fluorescent dye. So it fits into all of this. Okay. Now, toxic effects of penetrating cations. 2023. In this review, we have attempted to summarize the data about the side effects of commonly used natural, example is berberine, and artificial, examples are tetraphenylphosphonium, rhodamine, methylene blue, penetrating cations on cellular physiology. Okay, berberine. I've been over berberine before. Berberine is absolutely toxic. Do not take it. It is yellowish, orangish. It's bitter. It's toxic. And that's what they're going to show here. I've shown this before, and that's what they're going to show here. For instance, listen to these things. These are generalities about all of these things. For instance, it was shown that such type of molecules can, number one, facilitate proton transport across membranes. 2, react with redox groups of the respiratory chain. 3, induce DNA damage. 4, interfere with pleiotropic drug resistance. This is the PGP inhibitor right here. 5, disturb membrane integrity. That's bad. You heard of leaky gut? That's like where this is going. That's like the bigger version of it. Membranes is down at the cell level. And 6, inhibit enzymes. We're going to go over that a lot. Also, the products of the biodegradation of penetrating cations can be toxic. So as methylene blue is broken down, the breakdown products are toxic too. Remind you of vitamin A? Goes from carotenoids to retinaldehyde to retinoic acid, the most toxic ones at the end. Not what you eat in terms of retinol and carotenoids, but it turns even more toxic at the end. Let's hit on this last one real hard. As penetrating cations, of which methylene blue is one, accumulate in mitochondria. As penetrating cations accumulate in mitochondria, their toxicity is mostly due to mitochondrial damage. There are people out there, not very bright, who think that this is helping their mitochondria. It's accumulating in your mitochondria. You're feeling a honeymoon drug effect. It's going to go away. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be wanting to quit because it's causing you problems, but you can't because the withdrawal is going to be worse than quitting. You're going to have to decide. You're setting yourself up for a real nasty fall. And finally, methylene blue loaded solid lipid nanoparticles. Gosh, nanoparticles. I would really hope they wouldn't put any of these in any shots that they give people. Here we are. Preparation, optimization, and in vivo burn healing assessment. Let's go down. Let me find this real quicker. Here we go. Methylene blue is a diamino-phenothiazine. It's so funny. Like the people taking this are often like, they're really into natural foods and good diets and sun exposure and all this stuff. And then you read this and you go, methylene blue is a diamino-phenothiazine dye. And you're like, you would take that? Most people out there can't pronounce this, but they're going to take it. Okay, so it's a dye with specific antioxidant effects. The amine groups and sulfur atoms. Oh, so it's another sulfur thing, slowing detox. Gosh, you never hear me talk about that. Of the thiazine ring, give a positive charge to the molecule. That's a cation. The positive charge on MB molecules and lipophilicity, how it's attracted to, it loves fatty compounds. It's fat soluble, fat storable. Cause them to accumulate in the mitochondria. An active organelle in the production of free radicals. It has a low redox potential and readily cycles between the redox and oxidized forms. As a result, methylene blue interferes, keyword there, interferes with the electron transport chain and reduces reactive oxygen species. Well, if you believe in the old antioxidant theory of health, I mean, you may like that, but I'm going to tell you that's a bad thing. It's interfering with the way you were designed. Okay? Continuing. So now, we're going to go back. We're going to back up a little bit. And I'm going to go over monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Monoamine oxidase inhibitors. What are they? They block the actions of monoamine oxidase enzymes. Okay, so we're seeing that methylene blue blocks enzymes again. Monoamine oxidase enzymes are responsible for breaking down neurotransmitters such as dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin in the brain. Historically, experts have associated low levels of these three neurotransmitters with depression. Kind of a failed theory, but yeah, whatever. Although this may not be the cause of depression, failed theory. MAOIs increase the concentration of these three neurotransmitters by blocking the effects of monoamine oxidase enzymes. MAOIs are typically only used when other antidepressants have proven ineffective because they have a higher risk of drug interactions than standard antidepressants and can also interact with certain types of food, such as aged cheeses and cured meats. They also tend to have more side effects than standard antidepressants and may cause a withdrawal syndrome on discontinuation. And I just forgot to show all that. There we go. Here it is. This is drugs.com, monoamine oxidase inhibitors. I just read all of this. Let me go see if there's anything else here. Oh. Are monoamine oxidase inhibitors safe? When taken at the recommended dosage, the pharma cartel says that MAOIs are considered safe. They say lots of things are considered safe, don't they? However, they are potentially fatal in overdose and have been associated with a few serious, potentially fatal side effects, such as very severe drug interactions. Since the effects of MAOIs persist for several weeks after the last dose is taken, at least a 14-day washout period is required before starting any other type of antidepressant or medicine that also increases level of serotonin or other chemical neurotransmitters. This means it was accumulating. You understand? Very severe food interactions. An increase in suicidal thoughts and behaviors. Serotonin syndrome. Rapid but transient increases in blood pressure. So high blood pressure. Boy, that sounds good. Let me see. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Sexual dysfunction is common with MAOIs. And then, so if you get numb from methylene blue, they'll give you B6, another aldehyde, to try to make it better. Don't do this. Don't take B6. Okay, let's keep going. So what are the monoamine neurotransmitters? Just want to cover this real quick, just so we have it all defined. Monoamine neurotransmitters include serotonin and the catecholamines dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. You're causing yourself dopamine and adrenaline problems by taking this stuff. These compounds have multiple functions, including modulation of psychomotor function, cardiovascular, respiratory, and gastrointestinal control, sleep mechanisms, hormone secretion, body temperature, and pain. Since we just showed that those things are involved in all of those things, I want to remind you something that I tell people about when they're taking brain supplements, brain drugs, anything that is supposed to affect your brain. Here's the saying. If you are messing with your brain, never forget that you are messing with your brain. For better or more likely for worse. You want to go and play with your brain? You may mess yourself up, and the brain is hard to fix. So this is just another one saying that methylene blue is a confirmed monoamine oxidase inhibitor. We got that. Here we go. Next one. Methylene blue revisited. Let me make that a little bigger. There we go. So now we're starting to get into the enzymes that it inhibits. Okay, so first we already went over monoamine oxidase inhibitors. So it inhibits the breakdown of serotonin, dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline, or epinephrine and norepinephrine, okay? Methylene blue, an inhibitor of nitric oxide synthase and guanylate cyclase. This is going to be really, really important for you guys, especially if you're a guy and you like getting erections and you know anything about erection science and how it functions. You tell me if this sounds like a good thing for erections. You may not know about guanylate cyclase, but it's very involved, okay? Next, methylene blue, a specific inhibitor of this p-falciparum glutathione reductase. I'm going to go over this, but this means it makes you stop making as much glutathione. Methylene blue inhibits multiple amine oxidase activities. That's a lot of enzymes in one paper, right? So, to cover here, what does glutathione reductase do? Let's go find this little thing here. Glutathione synthesis occurs only in the cytosol. Thus, the mitochondrial pool is supplied by, this is glutathione transport, and maintained by reducing its oxidized form via the activity of glutathione reductase. So your glutathione pool, your glutathione supply is maintained by glutathione reductase. Methylene blue is inhibiting your production of glutathione. That's that. What are amine oxidases? Amine oxidases are important regulatory enzymes catalyzing the oxidation of a wide range of biogenic amines, including many neurotransmitters, histamine, and xenobiotic amines. You start inhibiting the breakdown of histamine, can you guess what you're going to create there? It's going to be bad. Important regulatory enzymes. So do you think inhibiting regulatory enzymes, catalyzing the detox, oxidation of all these things is a good idea? Not going to end well. So here we are. Now we're on to the aldehyde dehydrogenase. So I wanted to get into the aldehyde dehydrogenase a little more. I know I touched on it earlier, but here we go. We can pretty much go by the title of the study here. inhibition of aldehyde dehydrogenases by methylene blue. So it's not just one of them, it's multiple. Methylene blue inhibited the human erythrocyte red blood cell and leukocyte white blood cell aldehyde dehydrogenases and the rat liver mitochondrial low Km aldehyde dehydrogenase in a concentration-dependent manner. Wish they'd say accumulation-dependent manner. The inactivation was reversible by dilution, and kinetic analysis indicated that methylene blue inhibits the rat liver mitochondrial low Km and human erythrocyte ALDHs competitively with respect to dopaldehyde. It's interfering with your dopamine detox. Now, let's go to the next one. Just to confirm, ethanol metabolism in isolated hepatocytes, liver cells, effects of methylene blue, cyanamide, and penicillamine on the redox state of the bound coenzyme and on the substrate exchange at alcohol dehydrogenase. We just have one line in here to go over. The results indicate that methylene blue inhibits aldehyde dehydrogenase. Just to touch on this real quick, I consider from all the stuff I've learned about detoxification that aldehyde dehydrogenase is probably your most important detox enzyme. Inhibiting it long enough will cause you all sorts of problems. Most of the things out there that people are taking for supplements and doing things to try to think they're helping themselves are actually inhibiting ALDH. They get the honeymoon phase of feeling better, and then everything goes bad. Hey, let's go into this. Methylene blue is an inhibitor of superoxide generation by xanthine oxidase. So it's inhibiting xanthine oxidase. This is involved in gout. This is involved in the breakdown of caffeine, purines. It's crazy that, like, I'll hear the Peters talk about they drink caffeine, their coffee, because coffee speeds up xanthine oxidase. Well, coffee's speeding up xanthine oxidase because caffeine is detox through xanthine oxidase. So if you take in a toxin, you speed up the detox pathway. That's what's supposed to happen. But then they're taking methylene blue, which slows down xanthine oxidase, which they make a big deal about. It's so confusing. There it is. Let's just go find that. Did we? Oh, no, I just went with the title on that one. Okay. Here's another inhibitor. Resistance of human butyryl cholinesterase to methylene blue catalyzed photoinactivation. Mass spectrometry and analysis of oxidation products. Methylene blue is a reversible inhibitor of human butyryl cholinesterase in the absence of light. In the presence of light and oxygen, methylene blue promotes irreversible. So no light, it's reversible. With light, it's irreversible inhibition of human butyryl cholinesterase as a function of time, requiring 3 hours of irradiation to inhibit 95% of activity. What is butyryl cholinesterase? Butyryl cholinesterase, this is from the paper Butyryl cholinesterase, a multifaceted pharmacological target and tool. Wait, the pharma cartel is targeting enzymes to shut them down? Butyryl cholinesterase is a serine hydrolase, that means it cuts, that catalyzes the hydrolysis of esters in the body. Well, there's some esterases that we are very interested in that cut retinol off of the fatty acid esters that it's bound to. So this is really interesting that it's inhibiting the breakdown. It's not going to let you break apart things from the fatty acid esters that it's stored with. So if you can't break them apart, you can't take them out of storage. So this is going to keep everything stuck in you. I can't tell you how many ways that this stuff stops detox. And this is the paper. If you want to see the paper where they talk about most of the cytochrome P450 inhibitors, this is it. I'm not going to go into it anymore because I've already done enough on this one. Here we go. Now, gentlemen, and the ladies who love them, you're going to want to pay attention to this because you're not doing your man parts any favors by taking the Smurf sauce. Okay. Remember, it's a monoamine oxidase inhibitor. Antidepressants most likely to cause sexual side effects include monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Okay. So we got that. Now, inhibition of nitric oxide synthesis by methylene blue. I don't know if I have anything else on this one or if it's just that. Oh, yeah. So those of you who are into erectile science understand that nitric oxide synthesis is critical for proper erectile function. Quite critical. And some of you out there may have even taken some arginine and citrulline supplements to help your erectile function. Well, what happened here? Subsequent experiments showed that the formation of L-citrulline by purified NO synthase was completely inhibited. This is nitric oxide synthase, was completely inhibited by 30 micromoles of methylene blue. So you're not making citrulline. You're not making nitric oxide. This is bad. Our data suggests that methylene blue acts as a direct inhibitor to nitric oxide synthase and is a much less specific and potent inhibitor of guanylyl cyclase than hitherto assumed. Guanylyl cyclase is going to be real important here. We're going to go over that too. So, guanylate cyclase. Okay, so they just mentioned that it's an inhibitor of that. And here's this paper. Modulation of soluble guanylate cyclase for the treatment of erectile dysfunction. What are they doing here? So we know that methylene blue is a guanylate cyclase inhibitor. When nitric oxide formation or bioavailability is decreased by oxidative stress and PDE5 inhibitors, that's like Viagra and Cialis, are no longer effective, a new class of agents called soluble guanylate cyclase stimulators like BAY 41853 will induce erection. So they're making guanylate cyclase stimulators as erectile dysfunction meds. So can you imagine what inhibiting guanylate cyclase with methylene blue is doing? In this pathophysiological situation, another newly developed class of agents called soluble guanylate cyclase activators. So they've got stimulators and activators. Can increase the catalytic activity of the oxidized enzyme, increase cGMP formation, and promote erection. So now, stimulators and activators. So do you think they can stimulate it to get an erection? They can activate it to get an erection. So what do you think inhibiting it is going to do to your function? Now, androgenic, this is male, the male type testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, that kind of stuff. Androgenic maintenance of the rat erectile response via a non-nitric oxide dependent pathway. Methylene blue inhibited the erectile response in all treatment groups, showing that cyclic GMP is critical to the nitric oxide independent pathway as well as to the nitric oxide dependent pathway. I can keep going. I'm gonna. So let's see if we can get this to show the highlighting. Nope, it's deciding to be that way. Okay. We're just going to go over this real quick. Methylene blue is a successful treatment alternative for pharmacologically induced priapism. Okay, so what are they saying here? I'm just going to go over the title of this. Sometimes when men take erectile drugs, Viagra, Cialis, they can get kind of a perma-erection that is not going down, and it is uncomfortable, and it is not fun. How strong an anti-erection drug is methylene blue? They can inject it into your penis and it will fix this problem. That's how strong of an anti-erection drug this is. We'll just hit another one. Methylene blue is a means of treatment for priapism. That's the perma boner caused by intracavernous, that's into the penis, injection to combat erectile dysfunction. Yeah. They're not really combating it. They're kind of going to cause it over time. Here it is. Sorry, I forgot to share. There we go. Now, accumulation. Remember the word accumulation. Long-lasting effect on testes following methylene blue injection in laparoscopic lymphatic sparing varicocelectomy. So they're removing a varicocele, which is a surgical procedure down in the scrotum. Injection of methylene blue to the testes has been shown to have adverse effects in animal studies, but is still being used frequently, because they want you infertile, as lymphatic mapping agent during lymphatic sparing varicocelectomy in adolescent varicoceles. So they'll do it to teenage boys. However, it has been shown in other animal studies that intraparenchymal injection of methylene blue to the rat testes results in degenerative changes. What do you think is going to happen after it accumulates? 6 patients, 22, almost a quarter of them, demonstrated new onset testicular changes on post-operative ultrasound. Although no statistically significant testicular volume reduction was seen in the group with change on imaging, these observations may serve as a surrogate marker for testicular injury or reduced testicular function. Long-lasting effect on testes is evident with subdartoic injection of methylene blue. That's an interesting word. This agent must be used with caution, and long-term follow-up of these patients are needed. That sounds fun. And now let's just go to, does it inhibit sperm? Effect of methylene blue, indigo carmine, and renographin on human sperm motility. To evaluate, what are they trying to evaluate? The commonly used intraoperative vasography, so they're trying to map the vessels, and tissue staining agents. So indigo carmine, methylene blue, and renographin. So they're saying we're looking at these dyes together because dyes are generally freaking toxic. Semen from 20 healthy men was obtained after 2 to 4 days of abstinence. Sperm motility was initially evaluated in each specimen. Standard solutions of indigo carmine, methylene blue, and renographin 60 were diluted 2 times and 4 times with lactated Ringer's solution. Equal aliquots of sperm were mixed with undiluted and diluted drugs, and sperm motility was assessed. So the control, initial mean sperm motility was 70%. Okay, 70% of the sperm were moving around. Undiluted methylene blue and renographin severely depressed sperm motility to 1.1% and 2.3%, respectively. Diluted methylene blue depressed motility to 4.9% and 11.2%. Diluted took it down. So it brought it from 1.1%. Diluted brought it up to 4.9%. Don't. So we see the long-lasting effects on the testes. We see the effects on the sperm. We see the anti-erectile function. I mean, you guys out there, you think you found some fountain of youth? It's not. Okay, so I'm going to go through this quick. We already went over a lot of the pregnancy warnings, but ladies, you shouldn't be taking this either, especially not from influencers who compare it to pure crack. Let's just hit on this. Methylene blue pregnancy and breastfeeding warnings. Australia and the UK, use should be avoided entirely. US is contraindicated. They put it in pregnancy category D. We put it in pregnancy category X. That's bad. Okay. Let's just hit on this one line here. This drug caused reproductive toxicity at all doses in animal studies. It's probably not toxic to you, though. Why? Okay, folks, if it causes birth defects, it's a poison. Alcohol causes birth defects. It's a poison. Smoking causes birth defects. It's a poison. These things should not be like debated of just the dose makes the poison. The dose makes the poison is hypnosis by the pharma cartel to make you think that there's things that can be good for you if you just don't take too much of them. Discontinue breastfeeding for up to 8 days after therapy. Yeah, I just want to hit on these things real quick. Let's do these quick. Toxic effects of methylene blue on the growth, reproduction, and physiology of Daphnia magna. They do this. They use this because, I mean, are they really going to give this? And people are like, why don't they have human studies? Are you going to volunteer your child to be poisoned? So this is a fish. The release of methylene blue as a dye into water can pose a risk to the receiving water bodies. Zooplankton are the most sensitive organs among aquatic life. Yeah, we don't want to kill all the plankton. Chronic exposure to methylene blue affected the heart rate, beat frequency of the thoracic limbs, and reproductive activity of D. magna at environmental concentrations higher than 4.7 micrograms per liter. The cumulative molts, time to production of the first brood, and total number of living offspring were affected at different methylene blue concentrations, while abortions were observed in high exposure groups. We talk about malondialdehyde here all the time. Studies show that it's a marker. Okay, studies use malondialdehyde to show you how much oxidative species, like reactive oxidative species, are showing up. They use it as like an indicator that you need more antioxidants. And then people sell you, as Kelsey was talking about earlier, they sell you on methylene blue being an antioxidant. It's not. In addition, the malondialdehyde content increased with increasing concentrations of methylene blue. Methylene blue inhibits aldehyde dehydrogenase. If you inhibit aldehyde dehydrogenase, you don't process aldehydes. If you don't process aldehydes, you build them up. You cause problems. Let's keep going. I'm just going to hit on most of the titles of these. Untoward, that's not good. Untoward neonatal effect of intraamniotic administration of methylene blue. Let's keep going. Fetal death after exposure to methylene blue died during mid-trimester amniocentesis in twin pregnancy. Hemolytic, so red blood cells bursting open, dying, jaundice, so damaging the liver. Hemolytic jaundice in a neonate after intraamniotic injection of methylene blue. Ladies, if you're accumulating this in your system and then you try to get pregnant, even though you're not on it, it's still going to be there. Toxic effects of methylene blue on the fetus. I think that's pretty straightforward. Methylene blue-induced hyperbilirubinemia, liver damage, in neonatal G6PD deficiency. Do you know if you have G6PD deficiency? Probably not. You've never been tested. Methylene blue-induced hemolytic anemia in a newborn. Intraamniotic injection of methylene blue leading to methemoglobinemia in one of twins. Actually, two things I need to say. One, I wanted to say thanks to Olivia on Twitter for sending me a lot of these the pregnancy and the birth and pregnancy and neonate stuff. And then I forgot to say thanks to Tim Truth for sharing his article with me on Twitter about the stuff he had already found on methylene blue. So I want to give credit to both of those people for giving me some of this research. And thank you to all the people on Twitter who gave me the anecdotes about taking it and having problems. So for those of you who don't understand, the people who had the problems quickly, they were lucky that they were able to get off of it so fast. If you're not having problems with it and you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, you're simply building up more in your system and the fall is going to be even harder. I'm sorry. Okay. Unfavorable neonatal outcome after intraamniotic injection of methylene blue. Oh, and here's I'm going to go into this one a little bit. Adverse effects of methylene blue. This is a second study on sperm motility. Of methylene blue on human sperm motility. Components of human reproductive tract fluids and mouse embryo cleavage. So it's actually damaging the fetus. Okay, here we go. Because methylene blue, I want you to understand why they did this study. Because methylene blue exhibits germicidal, antiseptic, oxidation, and reduction properties, the authors asked whether this agent causes adverse effects on gametes, that's the sperm, embryos, that's the fetus, and or secretions of the reproductive tract. Time and dose-dependent inhibition of human sperm motility by methylene blue was observed, as was growth inhibition of 2-cell mouse embryos. Furthermore, the presence of methylene blue in uterine, fallopian tube, and peritoneal fluids altered protein mobility in polyacrylamide gels and yielded apparent values of FSH, follicle-stimulating hormone, and estradiol up to 260% of actual values. There's people out there saying that methylene blue is an aromatase inhibitor, so it inhibits the production of estrogen. But what's actually happening? Apparent values of FSH and estradiol up to 260% of actual values. The data suggests that the presence of methylene blue in reproductive tract fluids may provide a false impression of their biochemical and biophysical compositions, and that the use of methylene blue as a chromoperturbation agent be conducted with appropriate awareness. And now let's go to what methylene blue may do to your future children. Perinatal, this is within pregnancy. Perinatal MAO inhibition produces long-lasting impairment of serotonin function in offspring. I tell you, folks, you got handed down toxicities and deficiencies from your parents. You're handing down your toxicities and deficiencies to your kids. MAO inhibitors inhibit detox. Wow, they cause problems in the offspring. You don't say. This is all true. This is how things work. In previous work, we showed that pharmacologically inhibiting MAO activity during murine, that's mouse gestation, pregnancy, increases the prevalence of behaviors thought to reflect impulsivity and aggression. We don't see any of this today, do we? Nah. Not really. The relatively modest level of enzyme inhibition, 25 to 40% required to produce these effects, mandates care in the use of any compound which might inhibit MAO activity during gestation. Wait, let me repeat that. It mandates care in the use of any compound which might inhibit MAO activity, like methylene blue, during pregnancy. Okay, now here's a fun one. So maybe you've heard of microplastics. Maybe you understand that we are all getting these in us from all sorts of different sources. You can try to minimize it, but they're all in the environment and they're getting in you. So remember how I told you that methylene blue makes you more photosensitive, or it induces phototoxicity? Whereas when you have methylene blue in you, you become more sensitive to damage, especially DNA damage from light, UV light. Okay. Dual drive acute lethal toxicity of methylene blue to Daphnia magna by polystyrene microplastics and light. So we combine methylene blue. It's even more toxic when there's microplastics and light. You're going to have microplastics in you. If you're eating unrefined sea salt, you're eating microplastics every day. So microplastics can adsorb and influence the toxicity of traditional pollutants significantly. Wait, are they going to group methylene blue into a pollutant? Oh, wow, interesting. Although the complex toxicity of microplastics and molecular pollutants were frequently reported, rare work has been done on the influence of microplastics on the phototoxicity of photosensitive pollutants under light illumination condition. Herein, polystyrene microplastics was used as a model microplastic to investigate its influence on the phototoxicity of a soluble blue dye, methylene blue, using Daphnia magna as a model organism. Are you going to let your family or you have microplastics put into them and then given methylene blue and then illuminated, the results indicate that PS is polystyrene microplastics. Polystyrene microplastics could adsorb methylene blue effectively and quickly, thus led to concentrated methylene blue on polystyrene microplastics water interface. D-Magna ingested methylene blue adsorbed polystyrene microplastics very quickly within tens of minutes. Although listen to this. Although methylene blue or polystyrene microplastics alone led to negligible, as like not much, not at all, lethal phototoxicity to D-Magna, polystyrene microplastics significantly enhanced the lethal, as in death, phototoxicity of methylene blue to D-Magna after light illumination, 10 hours, with the survival rate decreased by 63.3% compared with the control in the dark. So you got all these like social media gurus going, go out, get sun, take your methylene blue, and you're exposed to microplastics and you're making it even more toxic. Further, the phototoxicity of MB was found positively consistent with polystyrene microplastics concentration from 0.5 to 7.5 milligrams per liter. Surface adsorption of photosensitive pollutants like methylene blue may transform inert, as in not doing anything, microplastics into persistent, as in they stick around a long time, like they're accumulated or something like that. Persistence means they stay. Solid sources of singlet oxygen production and become a new potential lethal threat to aquatic small organisms and ecological equilibrium. If you want to make the excuse of this just isn't humans, you can do that. You might make a really bad mistake, though. And then this is my last. Oops, let's go here. This one. So I wanted to go over the methemoglobinemia because everybody likes to talk about how, methylene blue is good to treat methemoglobinemia. First of all, remember, enough methylene blue will cause methemoglobinemia. It's not good. It will cause problems. So, but the people who promote it brag about it. It's fixing that. Well, what causes methemoglobinemia? Liver damage. Let me just go through some of these. Acute methemoglobinemia due to ingestion of mahia wine brandy, so an alcoholic drink. Okay, they got methemoglobinemia from that. Let's go to the next one. Methemoglobinemia due to quinine, for all of you hydroxychloroquine fans and quinine fans, causing severe acute kidney injury in a child. Okay, we got another toxin causing methemoglobinemia. Dapsone, a drug, induced methemoglobinemia, a primer for clinicians. Systematic review of methemoglobinemia in acetaminophen or Tylenol or APAP or what's it called in, I forget what it's called in Europe. Paracetamol, right? So acetaminophen damages your liver and it can cause methemoglobinemia. And severe methemoglobinemia due to ingestion of toxicants. So they have all sorts of toxins causing methemoglobinemia. So what I want to go over is it is well known that methylene blue is a treatment for methemoglobinemia. And methemoglobinemia is listed as a side effect of methylene blue. This is what we call the duration paradox effect, where one thing appears to cure something at a low dose or at the right dose, and then later it causes the exact same problem. So what I'm saying is methylene blue is bad for your liver because it causes methemoglobinemia at high enough doses. And if you're accumulating it over time, it's going to cause those same problems once you've accumulated enough. You're taking a toxin. Joe, you can get rid of that screen. You're taking a toxin to get a drug-like effect. You are getting a drug-like effect. They even know the drug mechanisms of it. the MAOI inhibitor, right? That's the drug mechanism. You're taking a drug. It is the very first synthetic drug that ever was invented, the first synthetic drug. Do you think that if we hadn't figured this out, like it's been around since 1876, and now all of a sudden it's coming back as a nootropic again? You know what I missed? I missed the Twitter. Somebody on Twitter, Tilluminati, I forgot to get his tweet, but he actually posted that him and the group he was working with about 10 years ago evaluated methylene blue as a nootropic or a nootropic, a brain supplement. You know what they did? They abandoned it because it was causing too many side effects over time. This game has already been played, folks. It's the same song. It's just, oh, wait, now they got the new flu coming out again. You remember the old flu? And now we got the new flu. They do the same schemes again, just like Kelsey talked about earlier with ivermectin and now methylene blue. Okay. They call it a bad name. They'll call it horse dewormer, or they'll call it fish tank cleaner. And then they'll make it mildly hard to get. And then they'll have all the social media people on a certain side of the spectrum promoting it. It's totally, and then they call it safe as water. They do things like this. Oh, it's totally safe. All the research says it's safe. It's all safe. And then you do a little digging into the research and you find out not only is the research like completely corrupted, but you're dealing with a highly toxic substance. I actually, Kelsey mentioned earlier about ivermectin and methylene blue. Somebody on Twitter told me the other day that their health practitioner was suggesting to them to take ivermectin and methylene blue together. That is a disaster of disasters waiting to happen. You're taking two PGP inhibitors together. You want to know how they cause problems in studies? They purposely cause problems. They give two PGP inhibitors together. That's how they cause problems. Ivermectin inhibits ALDH. Ivermectin's a PGP inhibitor. Methylene blue's a PGP inhibitor. Methylene blue inhibits ALDH and all sorts of other things. So, after all of that, I would like to thank you for sticking around so long. I hope that you don't ever take this stuff. I hope that you share this video with the people who need to see it, as many people as need to see it. Hope you enjoyed this special episode that Kelsey and I worked very hard on. And yeah, join us next week for our normal scheduled live stream, and we will see you then. Bye from Kelsey and I. Bye now.